Hi everyone, hope you are doing well. Today in front of me there are three Sony products, all in need of repair to various degrees. But one thing is for certain, they all need belt replacements. And if you are like me and you are buying a lot of vintage devices, let's say vintage audio devices, that need belt replacements, most certainly at least ones that haven't been restored before you bought them. Then you certainly also need belts from time to time, and prices, if you buy individual belts, you can find them of course on eBay. They are quite abundant, but the prices could add up very quickly, especially if you buy a kit for this certain model and a kit for this Sony Walkman and a kit for this one. The prices can add up very quickly. You can spend maybe at least 30 bucks on these three devices in front of me for repairing, for a belt repair. So I'm gonna share some advice, or just say some tips that I've learned over the years, or where exactly do I acquire my belts. So let's put this to the side. So this is basically the box where I keep most of my, well, all of my belts. So as you can see, for example, this one dates to the early days when I used to buy individual belts for whatever device you are looking for. And I actually only have the old belt in here. In here I keep most of these, which are 0.7 millimeters in thickness, and of course there are various diameters or sizes, as you can see, from the very big to the somewhat small, and every size in between, well, most sizes in between. I don't have real numbers for you, but if you are replacing any Walkman, for example, if you need a belt for a Walkman, you're gonna find the size you are looking for in here, except for a few cases which I'm gonna get to in a second. So that's the size that you're gonna need most of the time, because it's quite a fine size. These are all the same. All the same. These are a little bit thicker. It's this kind of belt, which is, how would I show? It's 1 millimeter thick, and of course a lot of various sizes, of course. I buy all my belts on AliExpress or Alibaba or Banggood. I think they are all the same Alibaba group. So on any of these sites, you just need to kind of be patient and a little bit creative with your search terms, because I find that's one of the obstacles that you would encounter sometimes when searching for something specific on those sites, because as you imagine, they are Chinese sites, and sometimes some things are always lost in the translation. So you need to be a little bit creative, search for example, rubber belts, O-rings, a replacement belt for Walkman, for a replacement belt for cassette. Whatever you are looking for, you need to be a little bit patient, and you're gonna find it. So on AliExpress, for example, as when you manage to find the right sizes, and actually the smallest size, at least where thickness is concerned, the smallest size I could find is this size, which is 0.7 millimeters, and of course various diameters, but they don't actually go quite as low, because sometimes, as you're gonna see in one of these micro cassette recorders, it has one small belt that is quite small, which is not included in these packets. So with those kind of sizes, what I've bought most recently is this, which is O-rings, as it says on the packet. O-rings for watches, basically, and there are various diameters, and they actually go quite small. At least, for example, the 16 and 18 millimeter ones. And I'm gonna show you. So I haven't tried these yet. I'm gonna try them on one of these devices in front of me, and this is what they look like. So they are O-rings, originally meant for watches of various sizes. So let me show you what these look like. And I haven't actually tried them yet, but in theory they should work quite perfectly. As you can see, quite elastic and quite fine as well. I'm sure they are smaller in thickness than these kinds of belts, as you can see clearly, I think. So we're gonna give these a try, and we're gonna see. And all of these, basically, they cost, I think, 5 or 6, maybe 7 euros max. That's of course including shipping. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of O-rings here, and I'm quite sure that I could use some of the biggest O-rings in here as belt replacements for Walkmans. And yeah, and most of these, they are all in the range of 2, 3 or 4 euros a pack, and they all contain, I don't know exactly, I've bought them a long time ago, but I would say there's 20 pieces each, something like that, 20 to 30 pieces each. And lastly, what I have here is the bigger kinds of belts. These are mostly for cassette decks, of course, of various diameters, of course. There's from the very small to the quite large, like, I don't know, like this one, for example. These are used mostly on cassette decks and sometimes on CD decks as well. And that would be all. As you can see, I do have another Walkman in here that I haven't gotten to. I actually did open it. I've seen what's wrong with it, and it needs a somewhat of a special kind of repair, which I'm gonna do a video about in the future, of course. But that's about it as where the belts are concerned. So AliExpress, that's gonna be your best friend. You don't need all of these belts, and basically why I have so many is that shipping takes quite a long time sometimes, although in the recent months or years even, the shipping has gotten quite faster on some items, not all of course, but on some things you can get them in 10 days basically, at least here in France. I always buy multiple packs because you usually most of the Walkmans I repair are Sony Walkmans. They kind of always use the same size or thereabouts, kind of the same size belt, and you kind of go through the useful sizes quite fast. So I buy multiple packs, that way I have them in reserve, and they are quite cheap. I'd say each individual pack of these is cheaper than if you buy an individual pack on eBay. So that's quite interesting, and you buy multiple packets, that way you always have them, and you don't need to wait like a month, let's say, or even 2 months. The most I've ever waited at in my experience with AliExpress is like a month in 10 days, which is not really that bad, but of course you are aware that it's gonna take that long in the beginning. Anyways, I think that's enough about builds. Let's get to some repairs.